Alright, here I am down at the shop again, just playing around with some pieces parts I had laying around, just kind of seeing what fits and what doesn't. So this would be kind of interesting maybe to somebody someday. The head on my left, this one here, is a C302 351 Cleveland type architecture head. It's actually a Speedmaster casting that was ported and finished by Troy Bowen. So it's quite a bit different than the way it came. As you can see, this is a CNC ported head. It's pretty sporty. It bolts right on, so this would be like making a Boss 351 type clone. This is just a regular 351 Windsor block and a Cleveland type head. The head on the other side is a standard Windsor wedge head. That is a Canfield 192. And then also, it's wearing an SN95 front accessory drive, so the shortest accessory drive, at least that I'm aware of, that fits this unit. It's about 3/4 or so of an inch shorter than a Fox body. The other unique thing is nothing bolts to the timing cover. It's got no through studs like in this area, where there would normally be a bolt with double studs and things like that, and there'd be bracket up to the air condition bracket on the Fox body and power steering bracket that's on this side. It would be different. It would have a secondary bracket. As you can see here, the SN95 bracket with this bolt, and one that's hidden back here is only attached to the cylinder head, so 302, 351 would be the same. And then what I have hidden under the fender here is a ATI procharger. This is a P1SC, P1SC-1, D1SC, D1X, P1X. All of the non-F1 blowers, the F1A is thicker. The area here, I don't know if I can reach that far. This gear case area is thicker, I believe by 5/8 of an inch. So this bracket fits all the blowers I previously mentioned. You can see it actually fits on the car, and believe it or not, I did have a tire on it just for entertainment purposes. I had a 95 Cobra R wheel here with a 275 on it. And steered to full lock, I have a Cobra rack in the car with the existing Mustang Cobra steering travel limiters, whatever it would have come with. I didn't add any additional limiters. And with that in there, here in this area you have about 2 inches of clearance with the tire at full bump, you know, all the way up when it's hitting the body. I thought that was kind of interesting. This is where the blower would sit. As you can see, it's definitely buried under the fender. It would totally work like this. The things about it that aren't really smart is if you had a big pulley on here, this is a pretty small pulley. This guy is a 3-inch, like right at 3.00 inch. That's a pretty small pulley. That's pulleyed for something like 15, 16, 18 pounds of boost, depending on what sort of motor it's blowing into. This unit is clear of the top, but you couldn't get to the dipstick, so that would make oil changes a pain. Right now I have it just sitting on the frame, I don't know, whatever you'd call this, the area in which you'd bolt the tin that would go to the wheel well. It's sitting right on top of it, and you can see it sticks out. Probably, this is almost centered. This is the center of the blower. It's a little bit off center. You know, there's probably 4.5 inches. I believe this is a 9-inch volute, so that would mean here to here is about 4.5 inches. That's sticking over into the wheel well compartment, although there's really nothing in this area normally. If you look through the vent hole, you could kind of see the back of the inlet and how much room there is to the firewall. This distance, I don't know, is a good 10 inches probably. Let's see. Let's get a tape measure. This will just be entertainment purposes. Okay, I way lied. See, that's why we measure stuff. It is right at about 7 inches. I know you can't. No, it doesn't look like it, but it's 7 inches. So pretty, okay, we'll call it 6.5. Pretty close to the firewall, but more room than a Mustang has. Like that kit was really meant for that type of car right there. And it's this SN95 here. And it's much worse fitment actually in that car than it is in this one. So hopefully that gives people a little bit of food for thought. Obviously the air condition won't work. This is where the air condition mounts. These pads right here is where the AC compressor would mount on a SN Mustang. Clearly that's not going to work with the steering shaft here. But I thought it was interesting that this just slapped right on there. If it were adjusted, you have a little bit of play, rotational play in the nuts and bolts, and none of that's actually tight. You could actually lift that off that bar where it wouldn't be hitting it. It would honestly probably work without doing anything at all, which is kind of crazy. I didn't think it was going to fit at all, so that was kind of interesting. The Cleveland type head, let's see if I can take a shot in here. The exhaust fitment is definitely way different in a Windsor, as you can see. You can see the side of the head's completely different. This flange is perpendicular to the deck of the block, whereas a wedge is way up in here. You can see where the plugs are. It's quite a bit different on a Cleveland head. There's nothing special about this head. That's the normal Cleveland type location. It's just different. And this valve cover was set up for like LS coils, which will totally fit. If you had the right header, this would work. But there's a big difference here between a 270 CFM cylinder head over here and a 400 CFM cylinder head over here. So we're not comparing apples to apples here at all. The intake manifold also would be much, much taller for the A3 engine, or excuse me, A3 cylinder head on this engine. I'm sure it would clear the hood, but it would be buried up in it. Maybe I'll throw the other head on later and drop a NASCAR type intake on it just for entertainment purposes. Anyway, thought that might be interesting to someone.